Welcome back to Movies TV Man. I'm Nick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. The entertainment industry is a very, very curious place. It's a place most of you fragile people wouldn't last 5 minutes in. It's ruthless. It's cruel. It can make you, but it can also destroy you at the same time. Imagine being director David Ayer. He was recruited by Zack Snyder to write and direct a Suicide Squad movie of his own. And in the end, the movie that we saw on movie screens, in cinemas, in theatres, wasn't the movie that he wrote and directed. They didn't like the movie he made because they were still scared from the reaction from Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel before it as well. So Jeff Johns ordered a rewrite. I think the rewrite was written by Jeff himself. And David Ayer had to go back and direct those rewrites, reshoot elements of the movie, and it was edited by a pop video editing company. A crazy situation. Fear can make an industry do some insane things. Look at what they did with Justice League. So recently, David Ayer has been posting some very curious things. He hasn't actually been the biggest fan, understandably, of Warner Brothers recently. David was very honest and transparent with his experiences of making that Suicide Squad movie and not happy with what they did. Him claiming they wanted to make that film more like Deadpool. Interesting. I like the theatrical version of Suicide Squad, but I want to see David's movie. He claims there's a proper score, musical score in that film. No radio music. The beats and the themes of the movie are completely different because it's not just the writing of a movie, it's the way it's edited and executed at the end of the day. The way a movie is edited is very important for its narrative. Anyway, recently, he took a picture at the Burbank studios of the water tower at WB. Then the other day, he became even more blatant, and he took a picture, he posted a picture of the WB Warner Brothers logo. Now, in the Burbank picture, he said the reason he posted that is because he loves Warner Brothers, he loves the history of Warner Brothers. But I went down the post with the WB logo and he didn't interact with the people commenting on that post. So the situation becomes more curiouser and curiouser. Is he hinting that finally his version of Suicide Squad, which has been nicknamed the Ayer Cut, is finally going to be released? Is he coming back to WB? Is he going to be working with James Gunn at DC Studios? Unlikely. It probably does mean that the Ayer Cut is going to be released. Now, David has always said that he wanted James to be able to cook with DC Studios and the DC Universe before that film was released. So if the film is going to be released, I can't see it being released this year or even before the release of James Gunn's Superman. But what David has been posting is very curious. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the Ayer Cut's being released, but the posts are curious from a guy who definitely has fallen out of love with WB. And you can understand why. What they did to David was disgusting. What they did to Zack Snyder with Justice League was disgusting. There's no defending that. The people who brought James over to DC are the people who did these things to Zack Snyder and David Ayer. So it's interesting. That's not James Gunn's fault. The best thing that happened to James Gunn was being fired by Disney, because now he finds himself as the co-CEO of DC Studios. He has a great opportunity to give us great DC and a great Superman movie. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. So what is my gut feeling with my knowledge of the industry? Are we finally going to get the Ayer Cut? It does look like that David is hinting that we're finally, at some point, maybe in the next 6 months, going to see his version of his Suicide Squad movie. I've always desperately wanted to see his version. I think it's going to be a better movie. I want to hear, you know, the symphonic score. I want to hear the score. I love scores over songs and radio music. Now, James Gunn likes the songs, which is an interesting difference. So we will have to wait and see if we finally are getting the Ayer cut.